All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream. As always, I am the Bearded Beast, and I wanted to welcome you to episode 28. Tonight, we're going to be talking about dual angles and decoding drilling. We're going to be talking about the PBA. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. But to get the show started, I want to thank you all for joining us. If you're new to the show, I am Robert Johnson, the Bearded Beast. I am a national coach for Team Canada, a silver USBC certified coach. I'm also an IPSIA certified drilling technician. So I've been trained to do all the things that we talk about here on the show. I'm here to do coaching with you. I'm here to do whatever you guys want to do. So let's get started here. And I just want to make sure everything's running good. I'm going to head over to the chat. Hey, Check MP! Nice, thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. Glad everything is working tonight. I think... Ooh, that was loud. Knock on wood, everything's going to go well tonight. We've had a few questions on the show recently, and we're going to try to make this show about answering the questions that we get on our reviews and things that were coming up a lot in emails. And this one has come up a few times ever since I put out the how to lay out a ball with PAL or the PAL Plus system from our book. Don't forget to buy the book, A Modern Guide to Fit and Arsenal Construction for Two-Handed Bowlers, available on Amazon right now. Anything going to fall off the wall today? You never know. You never know. Something may fall. But we've gotten questions ever since I put out the two videos on how to do symmetrical and asymmetrical balls, about how to do dual angle balls. And we'd done one quite a few years ago, probably 10 years ago. And our understanding of what works and what doesn't work and why it works has changed a lot over the years. Science changes, our understanding of science changes. So about a week ago, I got a message from somebody, and they said, it's great that you do the PAL Plus system, but I don't understand the dual angle system. Heck, I had a question today that I answered. Somebody's saying, could you please teach dual angle system? So why not? I have always thought, as bowlers, the more information that we have, the better. If we learn the fundamentals and learn why things work, then we can know what to do with the information we're presented with. If we just have too much information and no frame of reference, then no information is good information. And one of those things is why our layouts work. So, Dennis, nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining me. So we're going to switch over here to camera number 2. So we've got this wonderful Brunswick mindset here that we're going to do a couple layouts on. And in a little while, I'm going to ask you guys for some numbers, and we're going to lay out a ball together through the chat. So, first of all, when you're looking at a bowling ball, you're looking for a few important things. First thing is you're looking for the pin or dot. You're looking for the CG. And you're looking to see if it has... I'm sorry that's so loud. That's awful. This little mark here, 6 3/4 inches away from the pin. If you got one of these here, you've got an asymmetrical ball. If you don't have one of those there, but you have the first two, then you've got a symmetrical ball. Now, we're going to start with the asymmetrical ball because it makes a little bit more sense when we get to the symmetrical ball. So, out in the chat there, I want you guys to throw out a drill angle for me here. And we're going to define what that is. See, a drill angle, that's going to be the angle, our first angle that we use here. And it determines, not to get too technical yet, how long the ball is going to go, how far it's going to go down before it starts to spin up. Now, we know that surface determines length, but how quickly or how slowly the core spins up and starts to flare, starts to make that axis migrate, is determined by our drill angle. So what we see got here. I was told the layout asymmetrical ball doesn't mean a lot. We're gonna get to that, to the symmetrical. Keith, thanks for joining us. 50 degrees. That's a great one. All right, so we're gonna line up first. This is our prosect. These are available from Turbo. These are a mainstay of the pro shop industry. These are going to be your best friend most of the time. The only other thing that I really recommend getting is one of the angle tools. I think Storm's the only one who makes them right now. When you're doing two-handed layouts, they make your life a lot faster. So the prosect here has a spine on it, this part here. And if you line up the right side of the spine on the line here, that is 0 degrees. So what you want to do is we're going to make a line at 50 degrees here. So we're going to put the spine along a line that we draw between the pin and the mass bias. And we're going to mark off 50 degrees. And while I'm doing that, I want somebody to yell out a distance, or put a distance in the chat there. So we got 50 degrees here. All right, so I'm just going to go from the pin here through that 50 degree, and I'm going to make a long line here, just so you guys can see. So we've created this cool little wedge here. This is 50 degrees. Now, if this was a left-hander, we would go that way. Right-hander goes this way. So let's see here. Dennis, 5 inches. Awesome. So we're going to go 5 inches down that line that we've just created here with our drill angle. From our pin, we're going to go down 5 inches, and we're going to make a mark again. Now, somebody give me their PAP out there. So you can see here we've got a 50-degree drill angle. And then we've now made this line here from this pin down to this mark right here. This is 5 inches. Don't know if anybody knows. People may not know their PAP. Well, we're going to use my PAP then. Oh, look, something already fell off the wall. Steve went already. So we're going to use my PAP here. So does everybody know what a PAP is? Your preferred access point? It's like the center of a tire when you spin it. It's the center of where it revolves around. On your bowling ball, when the ball first leaves your hand, the very center of where the ball's spinning around, that is your preferred access point. If we were on the lanes and we put ourselves a big piece of tape on that and you were to throw it, you would see it be super stable on that tape and then start to flare away. That tends to be why when we're checking PAPs, we tell people to use plastic balls or balls that don't have very dynamic cores. That way your axis doesn't migrate very far and you can get a truer PAP. Positive access point, yeah. Preferred access point. Boy, did I just show my age. I called it preferred access point, didn't I? Yep. Positive access point. Oh no, John B gave us one. 4.5 by 1.5 up. Perfect, John B. Thank you for chiming in there. Thank you for joining us tonight. So we are going to go with... Let's get a val angle too. Anything from 20 to 70 degrees. I like this when that chat helps out. Positive access point. Boy, my brain ever dull today. It's not as dull as my pencil. No, my pencils are pretty sharp tonight. Look at that. I made sharpish pencils tonight. There we go. 40 degrees. Sounds perfect. So, same idea. We're going to take the spine. We're going to put it on this line that we just measured. And we're going to take the 0, this part here, and we're going to line it up on that dot we made at 5 inches. And we're going to measure the 40 degrees that somebody yelled out. Now all we do is connect some dots. We take our 40 degrees through the point that we found at 5 inches. And then we're going to measure our 1.5 up. So we're going to go the opposite. We're going to go 1.5 down. And 4.25 over. So we've gone from that new point we made 4.25 over. And that is our center of our grip. And for you one-handed bowlers that need, like, a center line and all that kind of stuff, now we can put a thumb and some fingers. But let's talk about what those numbers mean for a second, because we just pulled some numbers out of the air. And those don't mean anything if we don't give them some context. This is nice and pretty, and we can see there's going to be a pin over here and a mass bias over here. But those numbers really don't mean anything. Now I'm going to jump back over here. Now, asymmetrical balls and symmetrical balls are different. And this is very important. A symmetrical ball, think of a cup. For the most part, if you spin it all the way around for a traditional symmetrical ball, if you were to slice it, the core will be the same on every different side. An asymmetrical ball is like a cup with a handle on it. That handle is always going to be different. If you cut it, that handled part is always going to be different. That handled part is the asymmetry of the ball. The more asymmetric the ball is, the more it's going to change direction quickly. Some people call it hockey stick. Some people say, it looks like it got kicked down lane. What it is the hook phase. The amount of time it has to hook is much shorter. And as a generally has, when you have a ball that, excuse me, when you have a ball that, I lost my place there for a second. My apologies. Where was I? My apologies. I saw something off to the left. Let me try to jump back into that. Wow, chat. That's really weird. My brain just went blank. Asym. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Wow. I don't know what happened. I just looked to my left and my brain went blank. That was crazy. Sorry. So it has a handle on it. And that handle is the asymmetry of the ball. The more asymmetric the ball is, the shorter the hook phase is, the more it's going to change direction quickly. Yeah, complete. I don't know what happened. That was scary. That was the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. I just, all of a sudden, I looked left and coughed, and my brain, I think I took a screenshot. No, I didn't poop. All right, I'm okay. So anyway, with an asymmetric ball, that drill angle is very important because it allows you to set that asymmetry in certain places to make the ball spin up faster or spin up slower. Well, if a ball spins up faster, it's going to use its energy up faster. It's also going to want to change direction faster. So for somebody who has trouble getting the ball to change direction, like a speed dominant player, the lower the drill angle, the faster the ball is going to pick up. Conversely, for a speed dominant player, a rev dominant player like myself, I can't use small drill angles because the ball picks up so early, it's in the gutter before it gets to the pin. So we need to use the large drill angles. It's called getting old. Yeah, totally. So drill angles go anywhere from 20 degrees up to 90 degrees. 20 degrees is, though I've seen people drill lower than that, 20 degrees is generally where the safe zone is, so that a ball that needs to start losing energy or creating friction quickly can do it basically in the air before it hits the ground. 90 degrees is the longest distance possible. It is the longest amount of time that it will take for the ball to spin up and to start losing energy. So for you rev dominant players, that's why you see a lot of the short pin layouts in asymmetrical balls, because it uses the longest drill angle. Now, that second number, that pin to pap distance, let me flop back over here for a second. That pin to pap distance right here, this is important. On an asymmetrical ball, you can see right here, on an asymmetrical ball, depending on the distance of your pin to your pap, it does different things. And these things are really important. So if you look here, if you use a 2 to 3 inch pin to pap, it has an earlier roll. Oh, sorry, bottom one here. A 1.5 to 2 3/4 inch pin to pap. It is a having a night tonight. I don't know. Let's try that again. If you have a 2 3/4 inch or less pin to pap, the ball is going to maintain axis rotation. It's also going to maintain its axis tilt longer. So for people who are low tilt or have really low rotation and have problems getting the ball to not just roll forward off their hand, those lower pin to pap distances on asymmetrical balls are very important because it means that you end up getting more power down lane. That's why Radical still provides the drill sheets. Absolutely. 100%. Even with my brain going crazy tonight, I know, in today's game, it's not about hooking the lane. It's not about going 40 boards, gutter to gutter and back again. It's about getting the ball to have traction in the right place on the lane. It's about having the ball go through the pins and deflect properly. And it's about getting energy in the right spot. There was somebody once told me a lie. I'm going to call it that for a reason. And it's an unintentional one. They once told me that you should be able to strike with any ball. A true professional bowler, a true marksman of the craft of bowling should be able to strike with any ball. And that's incorrect. But you should be able to get to the pins with any ball. You should be able to get the ball to the pocket. How it goes through the pocket, though, there are a lot of things that go into that. Whether it be friction on the deck, how much energy is in the ball, how much tilt it's lost, if it's still sliding. There are so many things involved there that you can't guarantee that you're going to strike with every ball. There's just some balls you're going to get there and they're not going to strike. Some layouts that we choose, we can get the ball there, but they won't strike because it seems like it doesn't go through the pins properly. And this is why drill angles and pin to pap are so important, because if we give somebody a ball that is too early or too late spinning up, or it's using its energy in the wrong place, they're going to get the ball to the pocket. They're going to learn to get the ball to the pocket, and they're going to get so frustrated because no matter what they do, the ball's not going to go through the pins right. Somewhere Scoops is watching this, and he's like, yes, oh my God, yes, yes, because I went through this. He's gone through this. I think as you go up in the ranks as a bowler, you run into this. You find out what layouts work for you and what layouts don't. You may not understand why they work for you, but there are reasons that certain ones look good and certain ones don't. why we use our PAP. It's why we use these personal information points that define us as bowlers when we're laying out equipment, so that we make sure that we maximize the equipment's usefulness to the bowler, because it's still just a tool, unlike me, who's always a tool. So anyway, back to pin to pap. We had a 5-inch pin to pap. Well, if you go the other way, the longer the pin to pap goes on an asymmetrical ball, the more it's going to lose tilt and it's going to lose rotation. So if you have somebody who, I don't know, used to love calling them spin biscuits, people who had very high tilt, or who have very high rotation, so the balls, instead of rolling this way, it might be rolling this way. You can manage that and have the ball actually bleed off tilt, bleed off rotation, by using longer pin to pap distances. However, this is where a lot of people fall into traps. They see, I see this guy throw a 5-inch pin on TV, and I'm going to use his layout. So remember what we talked about low tilt players and you needing those smaller pin to pap distances to retain tilt? If you give a player with low rotation or low tilt a longer pin to pap distance, the ball is going to lose any rotation it had, and it's going to start rolling forward immediately. So if you remember when I was bowling one-handed, I used a lot of 3-inch pins. And I would always call a 3-inch pin like my 5-inch pin, because if I used a 5-inch pin, the ball would be completely devoid of energy by the time it hit the pins. It would be so rolled out, it would hit like the proverbial marshmallow. It would deflect, because the amount of energy being imparted to the pins is not great enough to keep the ball from losing its path through the pins, through the 1, 3, 5, and 8 and 9. That's why we get 9 pins sometimes, we get 10 pins sometimes, because the ball has deflected the wrong way. And a lot of bowlers don't have the right pin to pap distance or the right drill angle. We're not even talking about val angle yet. We're just talking about the first 2 numbers. Those numbers can frustrate so many bowlers so much, because a senior bowler with a ball that rolls off their hand and hooks halfway down, that ball's useless to them. Or a ball that they finally figure out how to get there, they polish the heck out of it, and it gets there and it's got no energy left, and it hits terribly. To them, that's a garbage ball. Think about any ball you've ever thrown. Have you ever had a ball that didn't do what you thought it was going to? Did you ever look to see if it was the right type of ball for you and the right type of layout? Because sometimes those things can get messed up. I've had people who will put really weak layouts on very weak balls and wonder why the ball never hooks. I wonder why. I mean, it would be common sense, but anyway, the last thing we're going to talk about is val angle. Val angle is how quickly the ball is going to respond down lane as it makes its move through the skid, hook, and roll phases. So the lower the val angle, the faster the ball is going to want to respond to the forces that are there, the friction. The higher the val angle, the less fast the ball is going to want to respond. So you think about your classic pin down layouts, they tend to have a very high val angle. They have a very early drill angle because they want to read the mid lane and lay off down lane. High drill angle makes it spin up fast. Low val angle makes it lay off down lane. If we look at the layout that we had thrown at us here, if we look at the layout here, we went 50 degrees by 5.5 by 40 degrees. 50 degrees is kind of in the middle. For most bowlers, 50 degrees is a pretty good place to start from. It's going to be middle of the lane motion. If we went to 70 degrees, it would be longer than 50 degrees. Our pin to pap, it's going to drop tilt. It's going to drop rotation. It's going to want to roll forward. So it's going to want to go down lane, move, and just keep going that direction. It's not going to want to be continuous and keep hooking. 40-degree valve angles in the middle again. It's not too fast, not too slow. If we went with a 20-degree valve angle, it would see friction and snap. Often we'll see balls that it'll go down there, snap, and then roll forward because it's used up all its energy too early, and then it responds quick to friction and bleh. That's asymmetric. Asymmetric allows us to do... hey, Lawrence, nice to see you. I'm going to get to the questions just in a second. I do see them there. That's asymmetric. Asymmetric gives you a lot of options. It allows you to fine-tune the ball's reaction to the player's game. Now then, let's head back to the interwebs here. For the symmetrical ball, the one on top here. Now, there are a couple of big differences when we go from asymmetrical to symmetrical. If we use the drill angle to manipulate where that handle is on that cup for asymmetrical, there is no handle on symmetrical. It's the same all the way around. So no matter, for a one-handed bowler, no matter what you place your drill angle at, it doesn't make a great deal of difference because the ball will always be the same no matter where you've drilled it. It's going to be the same all the way around. So giving it more or less swing of mass bias doesn't happen. You can't make it have more mass. I almost said that. That was going to be wrong. You can't make it have the kind of mass bias that you're thinking that you can. So drill angle we kind of ignore for one-handed bowlers on symmetrical balls. However, two-handed bowlers, I literally wrote a book on this. Two-handed bowlers, symmetrical, your drill angle matters a lot. Because you don't have the fingers and the thumb going into the core the same way, how your fingers transect the core and at which angles you're creating with the core makes a huge difference. That's why when we're laying out our PAL balls, that's why when we lay out our PAL balls, we always use that line that puts this line here, the one that we make, through the fingers. We always want that pin to symmetrical mass bias to go through the fingers. That way we can guarantee that the core is always going to be symmetrical. If we move it off of that, weird things happen depending on the shape of the core. You may clip a part of the core, you may miss the core entirely, you may transect the top of the core but not the bottom of the core, so you're creating a much denser core low rather than making it skinny and fat, so the ball starts reacting differently. So it's very important. That's why it's extremely important. And you actually see in the deviate no thumb resources that all the symmetrical balls, exact same thing. We place that pin to imaginary mass bias line, the pin to CG line, through the fingers. And that's, I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's very important just because of the geometry of the fingers and the thumb and how they transect the core. Once we get past drill angle, though, for symmetrical balls in dual angle, all hell breaks loose. All the things that I told you about track flare and how that pin to pap affects your ball, yeah, that doesn't work for symmetrical balls. It changes again. So you can see up here, you get the most track flare at 3 to 4 inches in symmetrical. At 2 to 3 inches, you create an early break point, and at 4 to 5 inches, you create a later break point. So you actually change where the ball starts to flare from and where it's gonna make its motion. So as opposed to the asymmetrical ball, where once you get over 2 3/4, it's always just super large flare. So it can be confusing. Like this is why we have the IPSIA courses. This is why we have the innovative courses. The knowing how this stuff works is very important because there are not a lot of matched bowlers, and the more that you are not matched, the more you are speed dominant or rev dominant, the more that layouts matter because it's how the ball uses the surface and the dynamics of the surface for that bowler. And the more that you are to one or other extreme, the more that those layouts are really important. Because if you give somebody who is really slow a really early break point on a symmetrical ball, that's going to look terrible on most house shots. We're talking the generalizations of house shots here. Same thing if you give a low tilt, low rotation bowler a 5 or 6 inch pin, the ball's going to look terrible. It's just going to roll forward and it's going to kind of. So this information is very important. Now bring it back to your own game. Think about this. Knowing your PAP, knowing your tilt, knowing your rotation, you can take this information into your pro shop guide and say, look, I need a ball that this ball I like. I need a ball that does this plus something, or I need a ball that's a little bit longer and something. It allows you to have a more intelligent conversation with your pro shop person, and when you get down onto the lanes, you can make better decisions. Say, if you're choosing for an arsenal, you're not going to take the same layouts generally for a short pattern, the same equipment that you would be on a long pattern. So it allows you to make better choices going into events and have more confidence in the choices that you're making. Because there are so many balls out there with so many balls that we talk about. Hey, Revs. And there's so much thrown at us, so many numbers. A lot of the time, people just throw things at the wall and hope it sticks. But when you're trying to make the jump from that 180 to 200 to that 200 to 220 average bowler, the more you know about your equipment, the less paralyzed you become. They say paralysis through analysis. You have too many options. If you know why you have those options, then all of those choices get boiled down to one or two. And you don't have to take 20 balls to an event. You don't have to take 15 balls. If I'm going to an event and I know it's going to be more than one pattern, 10 balls. 10 balls. If I can't get it done with 10 balls, then I'm not executing properly. So, yeah, that is just a little bit of decoding layouts. So when you say, like, when we went back there and we were looking at things, somebody put, I was told layout for symmetrical balls don't mean a lot. They're not really important. No, they are important. Layouts are more important now for symmetrical balls because there are no weight holes. We can't adjust those layouts now by putting a hole someplace to change the flare pattern or make more or less flare. How you drill it is how you drill it. So you got to get it right. You know, and like I said, if you give somebody who has no rotation and no tilt a 2-inch pin to pap on a house shot, especially open play, be lucky if they come back to you for another recommendation or another bowling ball. So this stuff, matching this stuff up is really, really important. Let's go back to the chat here. That's we did that. Can you use different PAP layouts on asymmetrical versus symmetrical? Well, your PAP, your true PAP, once it's measured, you should only have one. Even when you change your release, it shouldn't change too dramatically unless you are physically doing something differently, like throwing a different kind of shot. Your PAP should be pretty solid within, I think the most I've ever seen it run is about a 1/4 inch up or down and about a 1/2 inch horizontally. But Yeah, usually you should only have one PAP, and you should use it on all of your equipment. Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to nationals. We'll get to we'll get to nationals. Um, okay, so you get your PAP by the oil track on your ball measurement. Where do you get your valve? Okay, so these are choices that you make. So when you're measuring, let me grab some. When you go to the lanes, this is my handy dandy pack. Shout out to Paul Sadlin, free plug there. You gave me a wicked backpack to put my stuff in. When I go down to the lanes, to measure people, I always take my ball fitter, either this one or my one with my oval in it. I take, of course, my Prosect, my second Prosect, and I take this baby right here. Now this allows me to get my PAP really quickly. If you don't know how to get your PAP, maybe we will do that on another episode without one of these. But this will give you your PAP. Your rotation and your tilt and everything are based on how you throw the ball, based on where your PAP is. Your val angle you choose based on how quickly you want that ball to respond. So say we have, just for a second here, say we had the torpedo. The torpedo, the first one, not the direct hit. That is a ball that is already very fast response. It is also already a ball that is quick to hook. If you put a small val angle on it, it will be even faster to hook. It'll be the proverbial kicked sideways. If you were to take that ball and put a very high val angle on it, like 70 degrees, it will still be slightly angular, but you will see 4, 5, 6 boards difference in the total amount of hook. One ball will actually snap and one will kind of peter off. So you have to choose based on your style and what you want the ball to do, what your layouts are going to be. So let's say we have somebody who has a lot of tilt, a lot of rotation. So we would want asymmetric bowling balls. We would want longer pin to paps, probably 4.5 to 5.5 inches. And we would need drill angles that allowed the ball to see oil. So we'd probably be in around 40 to 60 degrees. And val angles that would be very fast response because the ball has to come all the way down and be flat before it'll hit the pins properly. So you want it to really lose that tilt and rotation quickly. So we may have an example here. We're going to get to it in a second. So yeah, you have to choose those based on what you want the ball to do. And I highly recommend choosing balls that are meant for what you want them to do. If you need a ball that kicks left, choosing a solid, slow response, smooth ball and putting a fast response layout on it, like a very small val angle, isn't going to make it angular. It's just going to make it respond to the forces that you're impacting on the ball. It's going to make it respond to those things faster. Hey, Rob, I'm doing great, guys, by the way. Thank you for asking. Nationals, yes. Nationals and tournaments, large focused tournaments. Those tournaments are a little different. It depends on the event. Like for nationals, I think they're capping at 8 balls. It's pretty easy to make those choices though because they tend not to change the nationals pattern that often. I know that teams is playing a little harder this year. That's what I've heard early so far. But for the most part, you see the same thing every year. So people want smoother equipment. People want things that they're going to be able to control, things that aren't going to be very jumpy because the lanes are already going to be very jumpy. So you tend to see like a urethane, a smooth fresh ball for medium pattern, maybe a long pattern, and then a ball up like a hybrid, and then a pearl, maybe a high RG pearl after that, like a high road or a tundra fire. Excuse me. And I mean, you don't need much more than that. It's more going to be surfaces. You need the ball to slow down at the right spot for nationals. Now, when you brought that up, though, when you put that on there, it reminded me of something that was once said to me. Balls that you throw on sport patterns don't necessarily look good on house shots. And vice versa. If you are going to be playing, if you are a house bowler and have only ever bowled in house events on house shots, and you're going to an event that has a named pattern or a challenge pattern or a sport pattern, that is the time when you may want to look at getting a ball that's going to be drilled for that condition. You may not play it in your house shot that much, but it's not designed to be played on your house shot. When I go to league, I generally play my medium bag. If you look at the way that I break down arsenals with a long, medium, short, house shots are generally a medium length, so I will only ever bring my medium equipment. I don't need my long stuff. I don't need my short stuff. I'm not going to be throwing on 35 mils on 35 feet. Like so there's things you can break down. They will look good on certain things and won't look good on other things. So nationals, PBA tours, a TNBA, stuff like that, if they're going to be on a lot of challenging patterns, you may want to buy some equipment specifically for tournament patterns. And then once again, this is where your layouts are really going to come in handy. Look at, say, the PBA, which we're going to try to get to soon. Last night's show, we were looking at Belmo versus EJ, which, did you guys know his middle name is not Jay? It doesn't have a J in it. It's Ernie Dean Tackett Jr., and the EJ is for the Ernie Dean Jr. Tackett. Mind blown. Just found that out last night. But if you watch them bowl, both guys were in the pocket. It was just a matter of how the ball was going through the pins, who had the best friction, who had the best angle of entry, who was able to create the most miss room and still carry. And when you get to that level, layout makes a lot of difference. Surface makes a lot of difference. If you are under a 150 average bowler, layout is important, but your ability to repeat shots is going to be more important. Just to throw that out there. I know nobody asked, but that's the coach in me. Because there is no, and I hate to say this because I wish there is no magic ball that is going to make you a better bowler. There's no magic ball that is going to correct your faults. There's no magic layout that is going to suddenly make you double in the 10th of the Masters to get a contract with Phil Cardinale. There just isn't. They filled most of those gaps up over the years. That's why we don't have all the fun stuff that we used to. And we can't dip things in MEK. So let's go back down here. Okay, Rob, I wear a wrist positioner. Should I get fitted with it on or off? On. Always on. This is a problem that I see in shops a lot. They'll fit a bowler, they'll do all their measuring, and then they won't ask if they have any kind of arm guard or positioner or anything. That's really important. If you think about the strap that goes through here. Look how much just the flexibility in my thumb changes. Look at the angle of my thumb change. Okay, imagine that with your whole wrist. Imagine if your positioner pulls you in and in. Look how this finger changes. Definitely, if whatever you use to bowl on a regular basis, wear it when you're being fitted, and make sure that you're wearing it when you're being fitted, because that will make sure that when you have it in your hand, when you need to double, may not be the US Open, may not be the Masters, but when you need to double, the ball fits correctly, because you can't out-bowl a bad fit. You can't out-bowl bad layouts, and you can't out-bowl bad fit. You can get the ball to the pocket maybe, but who knows what's going to happen. It's like we're playing golf or something. Revs on the left. I'm thinking of trying pin down layouts on an Ebonite Crusher. The first one, what's your recommendation? Pap 3/4 over by 1/4 up, left-handed, axis rotation, tilt 10 degrees. Okay, hey, this is a great one. Let's go over here for a second. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of dry mouth. My apologies, guys. So let's make the camera jump around. Whee! All right, so first let's identify a couple things here. So Revs on the left says he or she, they are 16 miles per hour. What's your rev rate, Revs on the left? I remember you sent me a video, but I just can't remember it offhand here. I think you're pretty matched, if I remember correctly. So let's start going with, well, I'm waiting for that. I'm going to start putting in a layout here. So my kind of go-to layout for pin down for house shots is 50 by something by something, depending on the type of bowler they are. Now, for my matched bowler, we got here, I think, as I wait for him to get back to me, we're going to assume he's a matched bowler. We're going to go 4 1/2 by 75. So if we look at our sheet from before, 50 degrees is a pretty middle of the road where it's going to flare up. 4 1/2 inches on an asymmetric is kind of middle of the road too. So it's not going to be too forward. It's not going to lose tilt too quickly. It's not going to retain tilt. It's middle of the road, high flaring layout. And 75-degree val angle means it's not going to be very fast response at the back of the lane. It's going to be a little bit more rounder, a little softer. So let's head back to the ball here. So we're gonna line that spine up on there. We're gonna measure 50 degrees. Now, if he was very speed dominant, like he had no rev rate, I might go down to a 35-degree drill angle to get the ball to start up faster. We said we were going to go 4 1/2 inches. So it's going to be high flaring. And let's go 75 degrees. 75 degrees. And we're going to, let's take a look here. And his pep was, so we're going to go 1/4 down. And we're going to go 3 3/4 across. 3 3/4. Let's make some. So we're probably looking something around like that. I did the right-handed version. For you, would be the left-handed, obviously. Let's see here. Pin down. 16 miles an hour. You're pretty matched. Your axis rotation is pretty forward. That's my big concern there. Axis rotation of 20 degrees. And 75 degrees at the back of the lane. That ball's not going to really have anything. It's going to be really straight. If you need something that plays, like really revs up in the front and then doesn't really do anything down lane. But with your rotation and your tilt, I don't see pin down. I don't see pin down looking that good for you. Maybe very conditionally. Because your ball is already at 20 degrees, instead of spinning end over end, like, instead of spinning this way, it's spinning like this way. It's almost spinning forward. So you don't have if you want the ball to stay in front of you, if you want to get on top of the friction, I'm doing a. If you guys are coming with me here, you guys are. This is just how my brain is going through the whole situation here. So we've got an Ebonite Crusher 2, which had a lot of surface on it. The Crusher 1, a lot of surface on it. Medium differential, medium intermediate differential. So if I were you, well, let's go to the next section for this. You're thinking about this. Why are you thinking about this? Why do you want to try this layout? Because this may tell us the rest of it. We kind of have an idea of what the ball motion is going to look like. And while I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to go through some more of them. Crusher's a beast. It is. Need another example. Thank you, Rob. This explains the issues. Ball fitting sometimes. Yep. We may have lost revs on the left there. Oh, just trying something different. Oh, okay, yeah. If you're just looking for do you know what your normal layout is? What your go-to layout is? And while you're doing that, I'm going to lay one out here for dead polymers. And what kind of ball are we laying out for dead polymers here? What do we want the ball to do? We'll make some suggestions. If he doesn't have a ball in mind. So we're going left-handed, two-handed lefty, 16 to 17 miles. Oh yeah, direct hit. Oh yeah, okay. Well then, this one's easy. All right, so the direct hit, the coordinate is actually pretty strong. So let's see here. Two-handed lefty, 16 to 17 miles per hour off the hand, 400 RPM. So you're slightly rev dominant, but not too bad. 40 degrees rotation, 10 degrees tilt. So you have some tilt. That's perfect. 5.5 over by a half down. All right. So for the direct hit, here's what I would suggest. I'm going to go to how much friction do you have in the heads in your house? How much oil are you bowling on? Is it going to be a desert when you're throwing this? Because what I would do is I would lay it out. 40 degrees rotation, doesn't need any help, Perfect. So let's go. Actually, he's a medium to light oil. Okay. And do you want it to be smooth down lane, or do you want it to be a little stronger? Because this ball does hook. The direct hit does have some hook to it. Because what I would suggest is, if you're looking for, if you just want it to be like, just let the reaction be the reaction, go with a 4.5 inch pin to pap. Otherwise, you can go up to 4 3/4, but I wouldn't go to 5, just because it might become a little bit over or under. You do only have 10 degrees of tilt, so we don't want to get too close to that 5 inch line and have it bleed off any of that tilt, even with the low friction cover. And we've got a all right, so we've gone 4 1/2, 5 1/2, and let's make this thing fun. Let's Let's go 3.5 inch pin over line. So that's going to be around 30 to 40 degree val angle. We're going to measure over 5.75, 5.75 to 5.25. There's our ring finger. And we said 0.5. So we're going to go up a 1/2 inch, just like we did in our other video. Now you get the bad singing. Now we're connecting some dots. So we know that this is the center of our ring finger. We're going to measure back along our new line here for our center grip. And our middle finger. And there we go. Moderate reaction, not too sideways. 30 to 40 degrees is your idea. Anywhere from 3 to 3.5 inches then on the PAL Plus. So 30 to 40 degrees. Mine, I think I put at 30 degrees and it's pretty fast off the spot. I think the next one I'm going to drill is going to be at 40 degrees. So now, interesting little things for you guys who have the book out there. If you look at where the fingers are in position to where the mass bias is, we can tell that we're going to have an effect on the differential and intermediate differential because our fingers are closer to the mass bias than they are to the fingers. If we were to move these fingers even farther down, say if they ended up down in this area, they'd have a huge impact on the intermediate differential because you'd be basically drilling into it. All right. So that was drilling dual angles. A little bit about what the numbers mean, why asymmetrics and symmetrics are different, and why it's important to match people up with them. Now you'll notice a lot of companies don't make a lot of symmetricals anymore. Symmetricals are very limited in what they can do. You have a few layouts that you can use, and because their drill angle doesn't matter, you can't affect how quickly or how slowly they retain or lose tilt. So they are limited to certain bowlers. Now, it just happens that symmetrical balls look fantastic in the hands of most high rev bowlers, including two-handed bowlers. So there is still a big market out there for them. But knowing what your ball is and what you need in your bag will really tell you what you need to buy and what your layout should be. No problem, Dennis. I'm glad to help you guys out. We're not done yet, though. Holy moly. That took a little... I loved how long that took. But we have stuff to talk about. We got to talk about the PBA still, too. Did you guys watch the tournament last night? EJ versus Belmo. EJ and Zach. EJ in the title match. Like, holy moly, can anyone stop EJ? Or, the better question is, can Motive ever afford to not make the Venom Shock? Because I think if they stop making it, they might lose EJ. Because I don't know if he throws any other balls. He just wins with that ball. It's EJ's the best in the world. Sometimes talent plus work, because he's worked hard, just makes you the best in the world. And right now, he's better than everybody. And it's weird because, I mean, Belmo is still incredible. And Andrew Anderson has made like 1 billion TV shows this year. And the talent is so good on the tour. And EJ is just lapping people. It is crazy. As we talked about a little bit during the layout stuff, layout and surface came in a lot on last night's show. Because if you look at, those guys weren't missing the pocket. Like, EJ missed one before he had to take one ball out of off the rack. I think he tried to go up to an evolve and it overhooked on him. But like, everybody was hitting the pocket. Everybody was crushing the pocket. and it just came down to who could carry more. And once again tonight, we've got another one. Tackett makes 5th straight singles show. He went out last night after the show and bowled more and qualified. He bowled today. I think he shot a 300 against Zach to make in the game 1 of the last round of position to knock Zach out. Like, dude is on fire. Dude is on fire. There's a lot of stuff. One quick one. Hyperdrive or Rockstar. Well, they're two. You think about the Rockstar is symmetrical, I think, and the Hyperdrive is an asymmetrical. So depending on which one you need for your game, you can go that way. Back to revs on the left. Before we finish all this stuff up, I almost forgot. To try something different, the ball may look very straight for you. It's probably going to look a lot like urethane for you if you go with a pin down layout, as well as going into that crusher. It's going to be a little bit longer, even though it has surface on it. It's going to go pretty long. It may not look good for you, but give it a try and let us know. Let us know how it went for you. And I don't want to go too long tonight. The bowling stuff was awesome. There was one other thing I really want to talk about before we got to super questions out there. And if you guys have more questions, please start throwing them in the chat as much as you can, and then I will answer them when we get there. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's an anime coming out about bowling. I kid you not. Look at this one. They got a little two-handed one with the pigtails and the glasses. She's so fluffy I could die. Yeah, there is this project coming. It's at turkeyproject.com, and it's all about these bowlers. And yeah, they've got rundowns on all of them about their bowling and stuff. Nikaido. She's the scientist and she's the two-hander. Because all the nerds love the angles of two-handed bowling. So yeah, if you haven't heard about this before, check it out. There's this new series coming soon. They've got a booth at Anime Japan 2025, so that means they're getting a lot closer. I know they've been crowdsourcing and getting ready to do one of the new, like their first, I guess it would be their pilot episode is going to be coming out soon, so that would be kind of cool to see. Anyway, that was a lot tonight. I'm just waiting for questions, but I may have answered them all while we were talking already, if my brain can keep going for long enough. I can see it now in Anime Lane Side featuring. I think he would end up looking like anime Rick Sanchez, just with a beard now and pointy hair. He does have the pointy hair and pointy hair. Ooh, maybe that's something we should make a shirt for. Instead of Rick and Morty, it's Wayne and Scoops. We could make Scoops into a Morty. I think that could happen. Oh, you guys are amazing. So we've got some more stuff coming up this week while I'm waiting for stuff. We have a video coming up. We're doing a new series called, basically about vocabulary in bowling. We have so many things that we talk about on a regular basis, from positive access point, benchmark ball or differential, or there's so many things that we talk about that we assume everybody knows about. And most people don't know at all what they're talking about. So we want to try to break it down and break down some of the vocabulary so that you know when we're talking at Bowling with Beers. I saw that. When we're talking about something and when someone's talking to you about something, you'll know, one, if they know what they're talking about, and two, you'll know exactly what they're talking about. So we've got the first one of those coming up on Thursday of this week. And I think next week We have another stream next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll have the rest of the results from the World Series of Bowling in. We've already had our first Singaporean champion. I think that's how you... The first champion from Singapore. Good for them. Congratulations. I think that's awesome. I think that was really the dream of the World Series, is to get players from all around the world to compete and win and show just how good the world is. And the world has caught up. Laneside chamois. You know what? We've done a few things like that. If you go to our... if you look in all of our videos, we have our spread shirt in there, and we've had a few things in there. We've had smocks and hats and backpacks and all sorts of stuff. Everybody we've dealt with chamois has never delivered. We've tried to get chamois from them, and they've just disappeared. So I don't know about chamois. Boy, I don't know if people would want a chamois with Wayne's face on it, though. Just stuffing his face into the ball. That's kind of mean. So, but yeah, if you guys haven't ever been to our spread shop before, while I'm waiting for more questions, I'm gonna see if I can bring it up. Why not? New. Of course, I picked one that didn't have my link in it. Oh, you're funny, Rob. You're funny. All right, let's see here. Okay. Interwebs. Any bonus balls laying around? Oh, I wish I had a bonus, let me tell you. I'm out of bonus. I'm out of intel. I'm getting to be a sad panda. Like a really sad panda. But I don't know if you guys have seen these. Yeah, fine. You can have my information. I take my cookies. If you guys haven't been to our shop before, we've got a whole bunch of different things here. Bowling fans. We've got SAWFT, our purple soft shirt. We've got our Who's Buying shirt. Cool 10-pin, bro. Skinny jeans. Of course, King of Two-Handed Style. Old School Bowler. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. See if it comes up nice and big here for you. You guys got to see this. The many emotions of Old Guy Wayne. From happy to pride, passion, intense, apathy, ecstasy, rage, curiosity. There are so many different faces of Wayne available. All you have to do is go to laneside.myspreadshop.com. It does support the show, and it ships from both Canada and the US, so you don't have to worry about tariffs and things like that. Way too cool. I'd wear that one. Yeah? Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of stuff, and it's not just t-shirts. If you go in there, you see we've got shirts, we've got hats, we've got backpacks, we've got pillows, we've got fanny packs, we got face masks. We got all that stuff. For a rev dominant two-handed with very low tilt, close to zero, can adjust axis rotation from 20 to 60 degrees. What ball should I lean towards? Ooh, great question, Ralph. It depends on what you're bowling on. For your house shot, you're gonna, obviously we always say you're gonna want a benchmark ball. You're gonna want a ball up and a spare ball. What you choose as your benchmark is going to be really important. Being rev dominant and low tilt, definitely, I would say look at a zigzag solid, and do a short pin layout on it. It's one of the things that we suggest to people for the medium, like a house shot, medium shot. It works perfectly as a benchmark ball, and with the short pin layout on it, it's very controllable. It's got a little bit more pop than urethane on it, which I also recommend to a lot of two-handers. But for rev dominant ones who are really rev dominant, urethane ends up being the strongest ball in your bag because it grips so early. So the short pin gives you that little bit of distance, so you don't have to worry about it reading too early and just hitting flat for you all the time. It'll also retain some of that excess tilt for you so that when it gets to the pins, it's going to have a little bit more energy. From there, you just have to choose if you want to go with a ball up, something that you can really hook the lanes with, like a hybrid. You're going to have a mix of everything really in your bag. Being more rev dominant, you're going to find you're going to have probably a few more symmetricals, especially at the high end of your bag, like your burn ball, your late hook ball. You have more symmetricals there. You may end up with a symmetrical as your ball up as well, just because the asymmetrical might be too fast. It might kick too much down lane, where you can go with something like a pearl or a hybrid symmetrical, and it'll be able to do some of that work for you. If you were more, for the other people who are watching, if you were more speed dominant, I'd say more asyms to get the ball, so we could get the ball to pick up earlier. If you were matched, I'd say a little mix of both. I have two Brunswick Attitude Control Urethane. Wow, nice. That's the red one. Those were really good. That and the double cross. The double cross from Radical was really, really criminally underthrown. I think because the purple is so good, people just didn't want to throw that ball, and it had a little bit more performance than the purple. But it also just seemed, the cover seemed to be different when I changed the surface on it. The purple got stronger, where the double cross seemed to get smoother for me. So that's just personal. But yeah, the attitude control urethane, I think it has the same urethane on it that the double cross did, and that's fantastic. And that core, that attitude core, that was in the Hero 2, I think, wasn't it? Brunswick attitude urethane attitude control, because I think it was that the same as the Hero core. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That was an awesome ball. John B. The Ammonite Polaris Solid, a good ball to drill up if you want something to read early. Then a Brutal Collision. Well, let's take a look here. The Brutal Collision and the... Now, if I remember, the Polaris Solid had a little higher RG. Over to the interwebs we go here. So it was a... no. 2487048 So 4.5 inches of flare naturally before drilling. Medium asymmetry versus the Brutal Collision. I won my last one-handed tournament with that ball. Very good ball. And of course they don't have the information on here, so we've got to download the information sheet instead. 052-019. This was the HK22 versus this is the GSV3. Okay. So the Polaris Solid is going to be smoother, but not necessarily have more hook to it. HK22 does tend to make things a little bit longer. I remember the Brutal Collision, even without the shiny cover on it, tended to hook a fair amount, but it was clean and then fairly strong in the mid lane, where the Polaris is going to be a little bit smoother through the whole thing. So if you want to read earlier, not necessarily earlier, but the opportunity is there. Like, yeah, surface-wise, the surface, if they're box and box, there's going to be a difference. The Polaris, when you throw surface on it, is going to be smoother for you. Where the HK22's property is still going to make it longer, the Polaris is going to get earlier and smoother. I hope that made sense. Ralph, thanks, Rob. Just wanted to ask what range is considered short pin? Short pin would be 2 3/4 or less. I tend to go no less than half an inch, because that's a really bad zone. It'll end up making the ball unstable. And for short pins, I don't go more than 2 3/4. I tend to go around 2 1/4 inch to 2 1/2 inch, if that helps. And I think if you look at most of Radical's drill sheets and most of the industry's drill sheets, I think they suggest out of the box is 2 1/2. So I think you're safe in there. As long as, like I said, don't go under a half inch, because when you drill it, this is one of those weird things why we use balls to measure PAP that are low performance. If you go under a half inch, things shift on the ball. Your PAP can shift. The pin placement after drilling, versus the true pin placement, will be different, and it causes some real instabilities. So whatever you do, don't go under half inch. And I know somebody out there is going to be like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And I will say, fine, you're going to ruin a bowling ball. And you'll find out the way that I ruined a bowling ball by drilling one at 0. So there. I am a weirdo tonight. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just a little bit off. Of course, wearing for you wrestling fans out there, my CM Punk Chicago shirt. Nothing like the pizza, the Chicago attitude, the Second City Saint. I'm gonna get some hate for that, probably. But everybody loves CM Punk. How can you hate CM Punk? Alright, guys. I think we're about wrapping it up. I'm getting a little punchy here. And I'm hoping I answered all your questions. Like I've said before, if there's something that comes up in one of these videos and you want to know more, or a question that comes up that hasn't been answered in one of these videos, please put it in the comments down below after the video. Not in the top. Well, you can put them in the top chat and I will do my best to get to them. But if you put them in the comments, I can get to them directly. And I may even answer your question on the show. Because we're always looking for questions and show ideas of what to put up here and what to teach you guys. Dennis, okay, I just got a GB5 and a GB4 hybrid. Any reason for a track stealth mode or too similar? I'm going to give you 2 answers here, Dennis. One of them is the corporate line, and one of them is my opinion. The corporate line is the track stealth mode is an incredible ball. It's smooth. It hits very well. The upgraded cover stock matched with that stealth core has been very well proven, and it's a pretty reliable ball. However, if you look at the GB line through history, is there a ball that is more storied using the same core outside of the high road than the GBs, than the Game Breakers? Game Breaker 2, the GB, then the MVPs, all the different iterations of it. Has there been... But the Venom, think about that though. They've made a whole bunch of different Venoms, but they still make the same first one, which tells me that they got it right the first time, and they haven't been able to get it right since. Every one of the GBs that have come out, every one of the Game Breakers, people have liked. Which is not to say anything against Motive, because Motive's, obviously EJ's setting the world on fire, and they've got lots of great products. But think about that core. Yeah, that Vortex core. It's been around forever. Sometimes they get it right, and all they have to do is change the cover to match up with the newer oils, the newer additives, things like that. In my honest opinion, if you have a GB5, you don't need a stealth mode. And I know it's bad because, some companies will say, well, you should be selling a bowling ball. But I know Brunswick. I know the brands of Brunswick, and they would rather have bowlers spend money on what they need rather than just buy the ball of the month. They fill holes in the industry. And if a ball isn't any better than any other ball, then it's one of the reasons why, I don't know if you guys realize this, it's one of the reasons why we compare every ball back to the bonus. Because you can go look at a GB4 and a GB5 and you can compare them based on how they reacted against the bonus. So you know if the cover stock is better or not, if it's worthwhile or not. Just like the GB4 hybrid, that ball's cover has been special. Like, you look at how many people have thrown it and they've kept it in the line, and I think until like a few months ago. It may still be in the line, I don't know. That ball got thrown a lot, and I think pretty much the only reason they replaced some of these is because of the 2-year limit for the PBA. So that's why we do the reviews the way we do it, so people can see if a ball is worth buying, if it's any better than one that they've already thrown, because they can see this is how it looked against this one and this is how it looked against that one. Well, if they look exactly the same, then that's the same ball. Do you see big advantages in the AI cores? AI is the newest thing, the same as Dynamic Core was. It's just a new way of doing the cores so they can change densities. It gives them better adhesion cover stock to inner core, to mid-core material. I'm pretty sure they said that it has heightened distribution or redistribution of energy, similar to Dynamic Core's thing with the I can't remember what it's called now. Nick always says it with the redistribution energy. We're just gonna go with that. Every company has something that they figured out, because there's very little innovation in the world anymore. Somebody figures out something new, and then within a few years, the other companies figure out their own version of it. Whether it's better or worse, it's their version of it, and they can market it. From what I've seen and what I've heard talking to some Storm people, is the one big thing that they've seen from the AI cores is their cracking. Not so much. What do they call it? The expansion and contraction of the cover stock versus the inner material versus the core material. Often they expand and contract at different rates. I know with the AI cores, they've seen a dramatic drop in those kind of issues. It's the durability. That's the word. Durability. So for them, I think that was a step that they made. Just like almost every company's made steps to bring up durability, to bring up their hitting powers. So it's not a gimmick, but sometimes I wonder, is one ball better than another ball because it has an AI core or not? I don't know. People loved the Zen. The original Zen, adored it. Zen AI 25, some people like it, some people don't. Could be the cover stock. Could be the fact that the ball isn't soft because of the polish on top of it, not because the ball got soft. We don't know. But we're going to find out because, they've whole hog gone into it and it seems to be working for them. Another great video. Thank you. Well, they did just come out with a GB5 Pearl. Oh yeah, that's okay. I had to think in my head because of how many balls that we see and how many balls that we review at a time. I couldn't remember if the GB5 Pearl had been released yet. And I know it has now, thinking about it, because it's right there. Because I just got new one in because we're doing the video for Scoops and Wayne this week on the GB5 Pearl, which is probably why I thought it wasn't released yet, because I had one here for them. They did just come out with one, and if I remember correctly, well, we're going to find out with Wayne and Scoops. I know for me, it was more fast response than the GB4 Hybrid. We'll find out with Nick and Scoops shortly. Can you make a video explaining the covers from the B7 brands? In what way? Elaborate for me, because that's a very interesting question, and I bet you I could probably get. We are very blessed. Every once in a while, we are watched by our friends of the show, Steve Freshour and Brian Bakosh, both Brunswick and Radical. And they always pop in and give insightful information where they can, or they'll let me know something. If I don't know it, Brian does. Steve, I've only just made contact with, and I'm really hoping to talk to him some more. But we'll get to that. I love Dynamicore. Everybody loves Dynamicore. I want more Dynamicore 2 stuff. I don't think people realize Dynamicore 2 has a different density than Dynamicore 1, which allows them to manipulate the densities and the sizes of the cores more, which means they can make the cores have more or less effect on the ball, which I think is really cool. So I would like to see more Dynamicore 2 stuff, but it's expensive. Now, AI Dynamicore make core numbers more consistent from weight to weight. Yep. There's a lot of reasons why balls crack. The expansion and contraction, they're also, because they're porous, they lose the... If you ever put a ball in the sun, even if it's not drilled, something will come out of it, liquid will come out. That's the ball itself actually coming apart. When you pull that material out, it makes the cover brittle. And the more that comes out, the more you pull that material out, and the more brittle it becomes, the more the ball is going to crack. That's why you see people who put the ball in the sun or leave it in the car, their balls tend to crack a little bit more, because they're literally bleeding out the material from the ball and just leaving an empty shell. It'd be like a sponge, like taking all the material out of the sponge, and then it just collapses. Oh, strength of covers. Yeah, we could probably do something about that. Let me write that down. Strength of B7 covers. Cool. Piranha Power Core versus B5 Pearl. Ooh, different. Very different. The Piranha Power Core Pearl is a little stronger core. It's a little more flare, and if you shine it up, it becomes really, really fast off the spot. Like if you put compound on it and a higher, like a 3000 grit, that thing becomes whippy. As opposed to the GB5 Pearl, it's still a little bit more controlled, a little bit smoother. Those GB5s are just controllable. You can just kind of count on them to be there in an emergency. Why they're around for so long. But I think that's it, guys. I think we've gone through all the questions. I think we need an orange Piranha. I think we need one more. We need an orange one like the old one. I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. This was kind of a fun one. Even though my brain glitched a whole bunch of times, I apologize for that. I still had a great time, and I hope you guys all had a great time, and I hope you all learned something. The reason I do this show, ever since I was small, I have fought for all the information that I've gotten through bowling. Any information that I have gathered, I've had to gather on my own. No one would give me that information. No one would share that information with me, because for some reason, those who have the information don't want to share it. And the only way that we can grow our sport is if we take that information and we share it with everyone. I liken it to baseball. Anyone can go and pick up a ball and a bat, and they can pretty much play baseball. But you can go online and you can learn how to throw a curveball from a major league player. He doesn't care that you're learning how to throw a curveball from him, because you will never throw a curveball as good as him. And even if you do, it will take you enough time that he doesn't care. He will compete against you because there's plenty of things. That's why sports grow, because we share this information. And if we take this information and lock it away behind paywalls and make it difficult for people to share and to learn from, our sport will never grow. So please, please, please continue to join us. I thank you for joining us. Please share this information as much as you can, because this is how we make bowling an Olympic sport. This is how we grow our entire sport. Thank you very much, guys. Woohoo! Nothing major fell off the wall. Just a small plaque. We did good this time. Thank you very much, guys. Until next time, we'll see you laneside.